Yeah, I was made to win. I had to pick up the pieces to the puzzle and put it back again. Yeah, I was made to win. They tried to push me out, nah, dawg, man, I'm coming in. Yeah, I was made to win. I'm shooting them baskets you could never make it in. Yeah, I was made to win. Yeah, I made to win.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Preacher Curls. I am your favorite trainer, friend, confidant, Marvin Keon. And I'm elated to have you guys here with me again. If you've been following me along this journey, this is episode 4 of Preacher Curls. We are knocking these things down. Super excited to be here again. An opportunity to encourage you guys again from the Word of God, from fitness, and hopefully something that's said today will inspire you, will encourage you, and will make you the absolute best version of yourself. Because that's all I really want for you. It's what I want for myself, so I want for everybody else too. So let's hop into today's message. So today's message is called "Be Still." Whatever you do not be still. Let me say that one more time. Be still, but whatever you do not be still. What are you talking about? If that's what you just asked, that's exactly the energy I want you to have, because that gives me an opportunity to tell you what it is that I'm talking about. So let's dive right in today. And so today we're going to go to Psalms 46 and 10. And it reads, "Be still and know that I am God." And today, ladies and gentlemen, again, what I want to encourage you to do today is to really tap into what it means to be still, and how there's so much power, and how there's so much opportunity, and there's so much strength in just stillness. I think we are in a state currently in our world. We are just at this point, I think maybe a week or so, maybe not even a week, a few days past the election. So the world for a lot of us, maybe even this year, I know personally for me this year has seemed very topsy-turvy, very chaotic in certain spaces, a lot of changes, a lot of things that I wasn't expecting, a lot of relationships that I wasn't expecting to end or to begin, or different facets of my life. I saw this kind of just continuously go through these changes after changes after changes here. And in the midst of so many changes, it can feel very uncomfortable when in the midst of trying to make, when there's things that happen to you personally, there's things that maybe happen to you business wise, there's things that are happening in our country, there are things that are happening with our family, and trying to be in a state where you can understand how to be with all of this, again, this chaos and this noise and these things happening around you, and you still have to get up every day and still perform. You still have to get up every day and show up for different individuals, show up for your job, show up for yourself. That can be very challenging. So my encouragement for you today, my encouragement in this message, is that we have to learn how to be still. But even in being still, there's so much energy that has to go out. And I want to break that down for you guys today, so that moving forward, we all kind of have a good idea of what it means to actually be still. So let's hop in. I got 3 points I want to cover today. I'm going to get through those. Get you guys out of here. All right. So number one, when being still, the number one thing, the most important thing as it pertains to being still, is that when you're being still, that is your opportunity to build a core foundation. So, when I have individuals that start to work out, when they come into the gym, the very first thing I do not do is throw them on some machine, or throw them on a barbell, or throw, dumbbells at them. Because the very first thing that I need to see as a coach is I need to understand, like, what type of core strength do you have? And so we test those things generally by doing isometric type movements, which basically, isometric movement may be something like a plank. It may be something like maybe like a wall sit, something where their core strength has to engage itself. And most of the time, those movements, there's not a lot of movement that are taking place when you're doing those movements. It's actually very still. And it's funny because you'll see people that get into these positions. I mean, go ask anybody who maybe you have tried to hold a plank for any length of time, and it can feel like a minute can feel like 10 minutes or 20 minutes or hours sometimes where you're sitting there just trying to hold that plank and that stillness, because when you're in that position, although you're very still, there's so much energy that your body has to compose. There's so much composure. There's so much um, engagement from the different muscles contracted to keep you in that one still position, which is so important, again, for the foundation of us being able to now introduce weights and barbells and machines and things of that nature. So just like in the weight room, just like in the gym, where we have to create a foundation of stabilization, a foundation of core strength. Then when it pertains to our relationship with God, and what I believe God was trying to get us to understand, when He's telling us to be still in this verse, is that you have to be in a state that whatever your core foundation is of who you are, like you have to be aware of what those things are. Like to the core of you, what do you revert to when things do begin to feel chaotic? When things do, before any resistance is added, before you go to the job environment, before you walk into the gym, before you engage in certain conversations, what kind of energy do you already emit? What kind of foundation of truth and belief do you already have? And so I believe that the way that we establish those things amongst ourselves is, number one, we have to have a prayer life, which is a conversation with God, which is usually in a place of just pure stillness. I think we have to have the ability to like be in our Bibles, be in the Word of God, because in the Word of God it teaches us. It has so many just different examples of what it means and how we should operate when it pertains to things that are going to happen on. Because we're aware that things are going to happen to us. We're aware that trials and tribulations are an aspect of our growth and of our development as people, as Christians, as moms, as dads, as coaches, as entrepreneurs, as whatever the case may be. There is a level of trial and tribulation that is designed into every aspect of life, because that's what's going to make us stronger. That's what's going to make us better. That's what's going to make us appreciate the continuation and the growth aspect of who we are and what it pertains to as we become the variations of whoever we are. But that element has to be there, because if you don't have something to revert back to, if you don't have some type of foundation, um, again, just like in the gym, if I don't have that core strength, if I don't have that ability to make sure that I'm, how to learn to engage my glutes, how to stabilize my adductors and my abductors and my core, so I can get ready to perform the squat, before I can get ready to perform the deadlift. Like, I think one of the most important aspects as it pertains to fitness is that moment right before you get ready to perform a lift. Like, when as a coach, that's the very first thing that I look at with my clients. Like before they get ready to perform a squat, or before they get ready to perform the deadlift, or before they get ready to perform that bent over row, I stop them just a half a second before they get ready to pull that barbell, and there's checkpoint, down to their feet, their ankles, their hips, their core, where the head placed, how the hand, are the hand in the right position, are they in alignment? And that moment of stillness is so important, because if I don't have that checkpoint, I don't go through this checkpoint with them, and then they just pick up the weight with no idea of whether the stabilizing muscles are stabilized, then now as they start to go through this resistance, and they start to experience this change of resistance over to that state, then now they're susceptible to injury, or to hurting themselves, or to putting themselves at risk. Again, just for the simple fact that that moment, right before that lift, we didn't embrace that moment of stillness. We didn't embrace that moment to just stop and be aware that everything that I need in order to prepare me to take the steps forward for my growth, to do the things that are going to be necessary, even though the resistance is going to be challenging, that moment of stillness is far more important than the lift in that moment. Because if I don't embrace that moment of stillness, then I can't even get to that lift. I can't even perform that PR. So the same thing in our lives and who we are. We have to create a foundation, a core. We have to have a moment before any situation that we can uh, reach out to God, like go within. I feel like we live in a state now where so many people are stepping out, that if they were to ever step in to try to find solutions, that they would find so much more peace and they come to so much more resolution and they have so many more answers to some of the questions that they have, as opposed to continuously stepping out and trying to get somebody, generally another man or another woman or whatever, who is also falling short, who is also not perfect, who is also in a sense still trying to find some stillness themselves. If we were to revert that energy back in and really, really genuinely spend some time in true stillness and building up those core foundations, I think it makes us so much stronger to do what's required next, which is the second part of stillness, which is understanding resistance. So, resistance is the key for growth. So, in dealing with in the idea again, God said, "Be still and know that I'm God." So, after we've created our core, after we've created our core foundation, now we're prepared. Now we're ready for the resistance that's going that's going to come onto it. So now that I make sure my core is braced, now that I make sure my breathing is gauged, now that I make sure my adductors are wrong, now that I make sure my adductors make sure my feet are grounded to the floor. Now I am in such better position to perform that squat. Now it's gonna now me sitting down on my heels, driving through my heels, breathing in at the bottom, creating that brace in my belly, breathing out, pushing out. That squat is so much smoother, so much more seamless. It doesn't mean that the resistance wasn't challenging. And that's kind of the beauty of the gym, because no matter what that weight is, no matter if I'm somebody who this is their first time squatting, or I'm a power lifter and I'm squatting 800, 900 pounds, the stillness, which is the focus essentially, that is required for me to be successful with handling that resistance, is the same for the first timer, and it's also the same for the person that's been doing it 100 times. That doesn't change. That'll never go away. We always have to be in the state to understand that it's not always necessarily about the resistance, that the resistance is a necessary part of the growth concept. Like there's no way that I can expect muscle growth. There's no way that I can expect to be faster. There's no way that I can expect to jump higher if I don't do things that help my muscle grow, if I don't practice running, if I don't practice putting myself up in positions that are so I can jump higher, if I don't use resistance, if I don't put on bands, if I don't put on a weighted vest, or if I don't do the squats, if I don't do the movement that will help me perform those movements, but if I don't engage resistance, there's no way that I can have even the opportunity for myself to get stronger, to be better, to move. So the same thing as it pertains to us in life. Like life, and that's the thing about life. Life is gonna have this natural resistance. It's naturally designed in the makeup of how God made it for it to have resistance, which is again, God knew that. I think God is so much aware of that, which is why even in this verse, he said, "Hey, listen, you're gonna have resistances. It's okay. I planned for you to have resistances. I created this world in a state that in order for you to enjoy it, you know what I mean? Like, take something as or you like maybe the childbearing as an example. I've never bared a child, so I can't necessarily say I relate, but in just understanding the concept of what it is for a woman to bear a child, it looks like a very challenging, sometimes excruciating experience for them to have to go through, 9 months of this pain and of this labor and of this, and of these contractions and of, mood swings and the body changes and the swelling and all the things. And then that's not even the actual birth experience, which is, again, I'm sure an entirely different level of resistance that they have to go through. But they go through it, and on the other side of all this resistance, on the other side of all these things that were extremely challenging to them, they've created life. They've created this beautiful person, this beautiful little boy or this beautiful little girl that now has the opportunity to create their mark, to go through this experience of life in their own way, create their own personality, have their own experience. And the parent now has this joy of getting to see that and knowing that they were the origin of this person. Like, you know what I mean? That's such a beautiful that's a beautiful phenomenon that we get to experience and we get to see on a daily day basis. But it doesn't negate how challenging that is for those women that have to actually go through that experience. But again, I think that was just a natural design for how God just created life in general, and that's just one example. But in anything that we want, and in the Bible, when the Israelites were leaving out of Egypt, they knew that God was taking them to this land, this promised land, this land that was where they weren't going to be enslaved anymore, where they weren't going to be, under Pharaoh's rule. And so to get to the promised land, this journey should have took them 2 weeks. Taking them 40 years to get what it was that God had promised them. And I can only imagine that if a 2 week journey took me 40 years, I can't imagine the level and the different types of resistance that they encounter during that season. But what I do know is that God is God that He cannot lie. So that so that they were going to that the promised land was going to be there for them. Like that what God had already told them and ordained for them and had already written and said was going to come nonetheless. But how they handled the resistance was up to them. And I do believe that to a certain degree they didn't handle the resistance as well as they could have, which it took a 2 week journey and made it 40 years. So the same with us. There's going to be a level of resistance. Like, one thing I tell my clients all the time is choose your heart. Like coming up to the gym, having to follow a meal plan, having to lift 3-4 times a week, having to, be sore and get recovery, those things are challenging. They are. But I couldn't imagine a life where I didn't do any of those things. To where now my body is just susceptible to the fact that I never move and the fact that I just eat whatever and I consume whatever. And so now I don't have, because I didn't want to go through the resistance of what it was like to show up. Now I have to go through the resistance of like what it means when you don't show up. So that may mean now I'm visiting the doctor more often. That may mean now I'm having to take prescription drugs more often. That may mean that I'm waking up and various parts of my body are just feeling any type of way. And I have no idea because I don't spend enough time with my body to understand why it feels that way. So again, when it comes down to be still and knowing that God is God, in stillness, in that resistance, what He's letting us know is that although the resistance is challenging, and although it can be heavy and although it can be uncomfortable, I designed it that way. Like it's supposed to be that way. So the stillness that we appreciate or that we accept in that moment of movement, of getting up and doing something, is knowing that although this thing is heavy, and although this situation is heavy, or the circumstance is not comfortable, God is still God. And God cannot not be God. And so since God is God and He is who He is, then even the depth of the resistance that I'm feeling in this situation could not be that bad because God told me that I can still be still in this moment. But again, and I think this is the driving point, is just to realize that in that stillness, there's so much movement that is still happening. I still have to go bear the resistance. Like, you know what I mean? I still have to go pick up the weight. I still have to go start the business. I still have to go do the things that I want to do in order to grow, in order to become the version of myself that I'm supposed to become. But there is a level of stillness that I don't have to necessarily understand exactly how it's all going to manifest itself. I have to be still and say, God, you know what? I created that core foundation. I'm willing to accept this resistance. And then what I'm going to do at this aspect is know that you are who you say you are. And the last point, as it pertains to us being still, is rest and renewal are non-negotiable. So just like it is important for us to be willing to accept that aspect of taking on that resistance, it's also just vital that we remember to rest. Like we have become, it's so hard for us to like to be still. Like, you know what I mean? I think if we have to stop for a moment and identify like what does God mean when He wants us to be still? Like, I find it funny sometimes if like, you see these kids that be running around these stores, they're going from left to right and up and down and jumping all over stuff, but then you got these parents that's like, be still, stop. And I'm like, does the kid even know what it means to be still? Like, I mean, I know you're shouting this command at them. I know you're telling them like to be still, but do they really, when you're telling them to do that, what exactly are you telling them to stop moving at all? Are you telling them to stop doing that particular thing? Or like what does it mean? So I think the same for us. Like what do we think it means again when God tells us to be still? Because I think we have gotten in a culture that has taught us that you just have to always be doing something. You got to be, be involved in this. You got to be involved in that. You got to be doing this. You got to be doing that. So the moment that we even try to practice what is stillness, where I think our anxiety is kind of like goes through the roof because it's just like we don't know what it is to relinquish, to surrender because we feel like again we have to be in such control of things. Um, and I think what God wants us to realize is that there's an aspect of stillness that also means to surrender. Like to be still, I think in this aspect means to, hey, sometimes I need you to just let go, and that's like, like even in the workout space and in the fitness space, it's never healthy for somebody to just drive their body 7 days a week, 365 days a year, like heavy lifting, all this crazy. Like even God knew that. Even though He designed a certain aspect of resistance for us to experience, He also knew that rest was vital for that aspect of appreciating the actual resistance. Like if I don't ever take rest days and recovery days, then I can't even appreciate the resistance that I went through when I was in the gym. Like I don't benefit. Like your body, eh, like the rest days when your body is now, the muscle tissues can now recover and now they can build up, now they can get stronger, so that now when you come back to the gym to break it down, that they're recovering, that they're fresh, and that you've got massages that that you went inside your chiropractor, that you went and done some cryotherapy, that you went and done some meditation, that you went and done some yoga, bro, all the things that allow your body to rest. Now, again, as you get ready to transition back to that resistance phase again, because that life is gonna happen like that. Like the resistance phase, they never go away. You're just gonna go through different phases of it. But when you stop long enough, every now and again, to just allow your body to re-prepare itself for that resistance, now you're better suited. Now you're more refreshed, and now you're more like you have the capacity to now, okay, I'm ready for another round. I'm ready to go through this again. So we have to understand that there is an aspect of stillness that is just pure surrender, that is pure letting go, that there's pure, okay, God, like in this moment, there is nothing that I need to do. Like there is, what I need to do in this moment is just literally just be like go go sit out. One of my easiest ways for me when I just feel like I just need to learn how to be is I go out in nature. I feel like that's the closest physical. I feel like that's the closest physical rendition that we personally get to God in nature, because I can't explain nature. I can't explain the wind gusts and the rays from the sun and these trees that have been here for thousands of years, and the body of water and these rocks and these animals and these creatures and insects, and all these aspects that I think are so beautiful and so just it's almost like an overlooked part of our experience here as humans, because no matter what, we can't explain those things. Those things were here before us. Those things will be here long after we're gone. Those things were here when my ancestors were here. Those things will be here when my people that I'll leave behind, my kids. Those things will still be here, and those I can't explain it. I don't know how long they've been here. I don't know why God designed the sky to look this way, but but I have an appreciation for it. I have I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful because I don't understand. And I'm thankful that when I need to really just understand and just let it go, and surrendering. And I just go outside. I go outside and I do my grounding or my meditation and just go sit out in nature and just say, God, you know what? In this moment, I just need to be. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. But I'm letting, we used to say back at the church, let go and let God. But sometimes you just literally gotta just let go and let God and allow Him in those spaces of stillness to to speak to your spirit, to speak to your mind, to speak to that aspect of you um, that is weary from all the resistance training, because that like training is fatiguing. It's supposed to be though. Like, you know what I mean? Like training is not. It wasn't designed to be a comfortable state, but God also designed a comfortable state for us called rest, because He knew that if we were like would engage in resistance, whatever it is, whether it be something as physical as a gym or whether it be something that is more spiritual and emotional like life, that He knew that there were aspects of days and moments where we could still just need some rest. We don't still need a moment to just catch our breath, that we can literally just be still, surrender. So today's encouragement, again, for you guys that are listening, is to just be still and know that God is God. And again, the way we do those things, we create a core foundation. We create stability in our life, things that we go to, things that we don't budge from, that we can always fall back into, that is going to give us the strength and the ability to then go to the next phase, was to appreciate the resistance that is needed to make us the versions of ourselves that we need to be, that the things that we need to make us stronger, to make us to make us like stronger, not just necessarily physically, but again in whatever facet that you need strength. But whether you need emotional strength, or mental strength, or spiritual strength, or in your relationships, or finances, whatever you need strength in, is like having that willingness to take on that resistance. But again, having the idea of knowing that there's still a stillness component that is required even then in action, because it's knowing that I have to be in action, but I still have to be in faith, because I have to be trusting God for what I may not see on the other side of this existence. And last but not least, that we again be that there are moments where you just have to truly just be still, that you have to surrender and let go and let God. Because think about it like this: if I'm going 100 miles per hour, it's going to be very hard for you or anybody else to communicate any message to me, because I'm moving so fast and going so fast that I may hear remnants of the message that you're trying to get over to me, but I'll never be able to fully embrace it because I'm just moving way too fast. But the way God works, God's not going to chase us. You know what I mean? Because He wants us to seek Him. Like He just says in His word, He's seek me and know that I'm God. You have not because you ask not. So it's like there's this responsibility on our behalf. It's like, okay, God, I have to reach out for what it is that I'm asking you to do. I have to do my part. There's some action that I have to do. So in the action that we have to do, in this particular action that God is asking us to do, I think that it's twofold. Is making sure that number one, we're seeking Him. Well, that's an action all within itself. God, I'm seeking you, but then once I seek you, I seek you and I stop. Because now I have to be still. Because it don't make sense for me to seek God, and then I get to Him, and I take off running. It's like He's about to tell me what it is He wants me. Like, I need to seek Him, then I need to sit there. I need to sit in it. And I need to just be still and know that God is God. And learning again that as I'm being still, when to invoke a lot of action in that stillness and when to actually be still. And the only way you're going to get that message, and the only way you're going to know when to do which, is if you be still, so God can communicate to you loud enough that this is the moment for action, this is the moment for stillness, and I just need you to chill. I need you here. So be strong informed, be still, learn when to be still, be strong informed, but be even stronger in your faith. Don't be good, be great. Till next time, peace.